When it comes to public speaking, nonverbal communication is very important and should not be overlooked. So today I'm sharing some do's and don'ts for body language for public speaking. And these strategies will also serve you well in meetings, during talks, in presentations, and in any type of public speaking engagement. So if you're ready, let's get started. All right, so we're covering head movements and hand gestures. So let's first start with the head movements. All right, the first one is to definitely make eye contact. It's important to make eye contact with the audience. And you might be wondering, well, how am I going to do that in the dark? Try to single in on specific people in the audience rather than just floating your gaze above people's heads, which is the easier thing to do. However, they will notice the difference. Eye contact feels more personal and it establishes rapport and a personal connection, which will make the audience more inclined to pay attention to what you're saying. 2, don't look down. Every so often you might look down and that might not be a huge deal provided that you're not constantly averting your gaze from the audience or the listeners. Because think of it, if I'm engaging with someone, one person or a group of people, if I'm constantly looking down, it feels very distant and not engaging. So make sure that you're not focusing down in terms of your gaze. Now, if you have note cards or a script, try to be as familiar with the content as possible so that you don't feel like you're using that as a crutch and are constantly looking down into your note cards or into your binder, whatever you have that you're using to trigger your memory, right? You really just want to have as much familiarity with your script or your outline or your content as possible before you throw yourself out there, right? Number 3, be mindful of where you look. If you're looking up at the ceiling, it could signal boredom or lack of interest. If you're staring at your watch or at the clock in the room, it shows that you want this meeting or presentation to be over ASAP, right? Imagine I'm just looking at my watch the entire time I do this lesson. If you look at the door, it can signal a desire to escape. Now, this might be obvious to you right now, but sometimes we automatically place our gaze in places that reveal our intentions without even knowing it. So definitely be mindful of where you put your gaze. 4, don't touch your face. Avoid the urge to touch your face, as tempting as it might be for you, right? You might have stray hairs in your face or have something in your eye that you want to get out. Try not to fidget, right? Take care of the stray hairs ahead of time, ahead of your talk or your meeting, so that you can minimize the urge to take care of it during your talk. And look, it happens. If you have, hair in your face that you need to get out, just try to do it as nonchalantly as possible. It also goes without saying that you shouldn't blow your nose or touch your nose or your ears or your eyes or your mouth under any circumstances, right? Doing that is the opposite of professional, and it really can be easily avoided if you're aware of it. This also applies to fidgeting with clothing. It's highly distracting to be touching your outfit, altering your whatever is on you, right? That's very distracting, and it can prevent the listeners and the audience from actually paying attention to what you have to say, from processing and absorbing the information that you're sharing. So be mindful. 5, do smile. Smile the way that you would naturally smile. Some people have big beaming smiles. Others have more reserved smiles. You do you. Smiling is really great because it immediately sets you at ease and calms you down if you have those stage nerves. And it also shows a sense of calm and confidence to the audience, which will boost their impression of you. All right, now let's go on to hand gestures during public speaking. So the first thing is to use outwardly sweeping hand gestures, right? You notice how I'm doing this. That's what we mean by outwardly sweeping. It shows that you're confident and you're not afraid to take up space with your body, right? It's a way of asserting yourself and demonstrating authority and demonstrating your credibility. It's important to keep your hands visible while you do this, right? Because if I'm doing the sweeping gestures down below, people are not going to see that, particularly in an online context. So make sure that they are visible. Imagine you're sharing a story about your recent fishing trip and you want to show the size of the fish that you caught. You can do that very well by showing the size with your hands. So be sure to share that with the audience. 2, don't hide your hands. Keep your hands visible. Don't stuff them in your pockets. I would be so bold to say don't wear anything with pockets if you're someone who likes to put your hands in your pockets. Don't clasp them behind your back. Don't cross your arms and stuff your hands into your armpits. You need to keep your hands visible because, again, that shows trust and confidence. And if you're in a meeting and you have a table, keep your hands on the table placed in front of you. 3, do let your hands convey emotion. Believe it or not, our hands are a great tool to show emotion and feeling. So if you're telling a heartwarming story, you can place one hand on your heart. If you're expressing gratitude, you can put your hands together in thanks. These are universal symbols that can really help convey a message and feeling. You also want to think about leveraging your facial expressions for this as well to show emotion. 4, do show confidence. All right, so keep your hands out in front of you where you can see them and where the audience can see them. Again, we don't want to be putting them here. You can use a steeple gesture when making a point. You can open one palm and then the next to make point A and point B, or also show comparison. You can even use the outline form where you're showing points 1, 2, and 3. Use gestures to make a point rather than overdoing it or underutilizing your hands. Some people naturally talk with their hands, and so in that case, they might want to tone it down or not. It really just depends, right? Everyone has their own personality and flair, so you do you. It's important to try to leverage your gestures so that you emphasize the points, right? Because if you're doing a gesture for every single thing, then the audience might not know what to pay attention to. So you really want to prioritize the most important points that you're going to focus on and emphasize using your hand gestures. 5, don't play with your hands. Don't wring your hands. Don't play with your hands or any jewelry you might have, because this is highly distracting. And believe it or not, it's a way of demonstrating insecurity and lack of confidence, which is absolutely not what we want to do when all eyes are on us and when we need to assert ourselves, right? We want to appear confident and credible, and we can do that by really honing in on the right hand gestures, head movements, and facial expressions. So those are my do's and don'ts for nonverbal communication while public speaking. And like I said, they can be applied to talks, meetings, or presentations, both in the real world and in the virtual world. So leverage the strategies the next time you are interfacing with your audience, because they will definitely help you get your message across more smoothly and effectively, which is ultimately what we want. Be sure to practice these techniques and be sure to familiarize yourself with them so that when you're ready to use them, they will be automatic to you and you will do them without even thinking, because they will be second nature. All right. And also feel free to record yourself while practicing these nonverbal techniques. I'm a big fan of that because it really allows you to see what you're doing, right? You might think you're doing something, but not necessarily be doing it, right? And then you can review the video footage with a kind yet critical eye so that you can level up in your next talk or public speaking engagement. All right, Explearners, that's it from me today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Can you think of any other hand gestures and head movements that convey confidence in public speaking? Share that with the Explearning community in the comments down below. And if you want to help our channel continue to grow, share this lesson and our channel with anyone who wants to improve their communication skills and level up their social skills. I will see you in the next one. Happy Explearning!